Hello everyone, welcome to GoTarryn TV. I'm Taryn, the traveling trainer of GoTarryn Personal Training here in the greater Atlanta area, about to interview, once again, the returning guest. She is the Queen of Wellness, Ms. Angelou Cudger from the Legacy Holistic Health Institute. Now, before we welcome Angelou on today's video blog, I'd like to ask everyone out there, if you please be so kind as to like this video, leave us a comment, and share it with all of your friends and family out there. And as you know, Angelou Cudger came out to guest speak at Georgia State University a couple weeks ago. She was wonderful. I just got to say, I was very impressed, and I thought she was an incredible speaker. And what she spoke about in terms of nailing your niche, what does that mean? How to nail your niche, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to ask her some questions on how that applies to everybody out there, not only business owners, entrepreneurs, but everyone across the spectrum, whatever field or endeavor that they're doing. So I think you're going to have a great time listening to this and have a terrific takeaway when you listen to the Queen of Wellness herself, Ms. Angelou Cudger from the Legacy Holistic Health Institute. When we return, we'll have her. And in the meantime, let me tell you one more thing. Remember that with GoTarryn Personal Training, it's your time, it's your investment, it's your life. We'll be right back. Hello everyone, welcome back, and once again on the line we have Ms. Angelou Cudger, and she's here on the line. And Angela, how are you doing out there today?
I am awesome, Taryn. Thanks so much for having me back.
Oh, my pleasure, Angela. Please believe me, the pleasure is all ours on this end. And you know, since we last spoke on Skype, you came out to Georgia State University. And I'll tell you right off the bat, that was very impressive. The students loved you. I've gotten a lot of feedback, all positive, including myself, about how your presentation was. And we can't wait to have you back out there again for another follow-up. That was great.
Thank you so much. I really enjoy talking with the students, especially people I got a chance to meet after class. So that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I noticed, you know, it's funny at the end when we say, is there any questions? And everyone's real shy during the headlights look. But then as soon as we dismiss class, you have a line like waiting for you at the front, wanting to, you know, and that's the way usually it goes. I mean, obviously, but that was great. Angela, you're very well spoken. I mean, I don't need to tell you that. You know what you're doing. You've been doing this with such high accreditation and credentials and experience. So I really commend you. And again, I learned a lot from you just in that short amount of time too. But again, we'll definitely have you back out and talk about some other topics, because what I thought was so profound was, I think I asked you in between classes, I said, did you make that PowerPoint? And you said, yeah. And I said, God, I thought a professional marketing company would have done that. That was impressive. So I had a lot to learn from you. But today, when I brought you back on, before we even recorded, I thought, hey, why don't we talk about nailing your niche? Because I just thought that would be a great idea, especially for business owners or entrepreneurs, especially maybe even people like the Georgia State kids who are either graduating, getting ready to graduate, want to be their own business owner in the future, you know, or people who are stuck, who have an idea or a concept and have, let's say, you know, that could speak to anybody who's been out there and they're wanting some help. This, I think, is a great topic to talk about, how to be unique and stand out in the marketplace. And I thought this would be a lot of fun to do that with you.
Awesome. Yeah, let's talk about it. I love talking about what allows us to help really kind of fly our flag, to let people know who we are and who we're here to serve. And so niching does that. And I really love the subject.
Yeah, you're right, Angela. And, you know, I'll start it off right off the bat. You know, this was your topic, niching. And, you know, you began with a story where you introduced a quote, and I'll just read it verbatim. But if you want to take the island, then burn your boats. Can you explain to the folks what that quote out there means, please? We could start right off with that.
Yeah, definitely. This is actually a quote that's made famous by Anthony Robbins. And a lot of people know him as Tony Robbins. And so he always says this about, he says this quote in a way that makes people want to get more focused, meaning if you want to be able to really be successful at one thing, then you must burn everything else that will distract you from that one goal. The quote itself is made famous in the world of entrepreneurship because of an act by Julius Caesar long time ago. And he and his men pulled up to a cliff of their enemy, and they knew if they turned back, they didn't have enough food to survive and make it back home, but they knew if they plowed forward, the enemy had them surrounded, and the likelihood of success was very, very slim for them. And beautiful thing about this is they pulled away from this cliff on a beach so that the enemy could see them, and they burned their boats, they burned all their supplies, and they burned everything. And at first people thought they were crazy, but Julius knew that it sent a strong message to the enemy that this is where they were, this is the lane that they were in, and they only wanted to be successful at taking over the beach or taking over that island. And so it's really, really powerful when we niche down, when we are specific about the lane that we want to serve in, and we burn all other distractions that would keep us from being that. And that really is what makes powerful movements and what makes powerful brands.
Very well said. I love the illustration too, for the PowerPoint that you created. It's just, it was great, it just flowed very nicely. And that again, I'd not heard that quote. That's the first time you've introduced it to me, personally. So, that's very, like you said, powerful. It's a good word. I like that. And, moving forward then from there in transitioning, you kind of introduced yourself with a backstory, and the folks who listened to us last time when I had you on here, they got to know a little bit about you and your education and your experience and how you've gotten to the point where you're at now as being the founder of, Legacy Holistic Health Institute, all of your, again, very impressive credentials at Emory University and previously Georgia State University. So we got to learn a little bit more about you in class, and what I thought stuck out really cool was your son, your cute little handsome son, and you mentioned that he actually got certified at an incredibly very young age. Could you share that story, please, with him, his yoga certification, please?
Absolutely. So I started homeschooling my son a couple years ago, and he started asking questions like, or started, hinting at things like young men do, hey, I heard they have Japanese food in Japan, or hey, I heard they've got this type of thing in that land. And I'm like, well, yeah, we've got that stuff local too. And he's like, oh no, I want to go there and see and talk to the kids there and be around the people in different parts of the world. And so an opportunity came up for me to train as a yoga instructor in Egypt and take a trek through ancient Kemet. And so what I did was I asked him if he wanted to accompany me, and he said yes. It was only when he got there that the creator of this particular yoga teacher training said, we don't have any children that are trained and certified, but there are certified child instructors on the planet. And they asked him if he wanted to do the 200-hour course, and he said yes. Wow. And so he sat through the meditations, and he had a morning ritual anyway before he left. So some of this wasn't new for him. And so being around all the other adults, he was kind of like this light that they were looking forward to every day for the past 15 days while we were there. And so he really enjoyed it, and he became certified at 10 years old.
Unbelievable. What's your son's name?
His name is Jeremiah.
Jeremiah, I think that eventually we'll have to interview him sometime on this show. He could be the youngest interviewee that we've ever had. I think he'd be very interesting.
Yeah, he would love it.
That would be great. We got to set that up. And then from there, Angela, you delved into your presentation because you had let the students know, and hey, Legacy's got a whole business model set up of different types of presentations like the one we're going over right now. And again, I thought this one was very appropriate, but you began out by saying, and again, if you could expound on this, the fact that all of us are introduced to some 5,000 ads per day within proximity to our senses. Can you tell the folks out there, please, what does that mean and why is it important?
Definitely. We get about 5,000 different things in our face grabbing for our attention, right? And it's important for anyone out there who's trying to be an entrepreneur, especially those of us, Taryn, who are like in the health and wellness space, right?
Yeah.
Like you and I'm sure like you've seen these ads and things out there that you're like, lose 5 pounds in one day. That's probably not going to happen, right? But it gets people's attention because it's one of those things that people are like, oh, that's a quick fix. Let me look at it. But we are just inundated as human beings with ads and different things clawing for our attention on a regular basis. Right. And the reality of it is, though, our mind, the human brain, can only perceive and take in 100 to 150 of those. So it's only that number we take in, and even fewer of those we actually click on or we actually pursue, or we actually call, or we actually stop by the store or pull over and ask a question or something like that that gets our attention. And so it's important when you're looking to niche things down, or where you're trying to decide what it is you like to do and how you want to help other people be greater at that thing, and how you can stand out in the marketplace and get people's attention.
Yeah, Angela, that's exactly right. And it's funny because, again, I'm just really happy and excited that you chose this topic, because it flowed perfectly with what I was telling my students. What I always tell my students is say, look, even if you're not going to be a business owner or entrepreneur, this still speaks to you, because let's say you're going to work in a corporate company or what have you, and be whatever, physical therapist. You still need to stand out. You need people to talk about you, say, hey, Emory has this wonderful physical therapist, and I want to hook up with that one because they know what they're doing. And you want people to talk about you in a unique way and say, man, that physical therapist stands out, and here's why. And I think that's why it's still relevant. So going to the next slide, Angela, and let me ask you this, the quote, "The riches are in the niches." What does that exactly mean for anybody listening out there?
The beautiful thing about ads is that the ones that really get your attention are the ones that are specifically talking to you. Those people have done the work to decide what their niche is, and know even how to ignite like all of your senses to make you want to go and click the link, or to make you pull over and drive into that smoothie shop. And when we niche things down, that is when we pick a lane or we pick an area, and that is where we can really begin to bank some revenue. When we're talking to everybody, we're talking to nobody. And so it's about making sure that we know what niche we're in, and then in that niche, the exchange of value for dollars goes up significantly.
Yeah, Angela, when I, it's funny because what you just said reminded me, one of the biggest fears I ever had as a personal trainer was raising my rates, and I was so scared to death. I said, I'm not going to raise my rates, especially to my loyal clients who I've had for. And my father, who's one of the smartest men I know, told me that's exactly who you need to raise your rates on. And because I told him, I said, God, I'm just packed, I'm busy, my calendar's full. He said, well, then that's a problem. You need to increase your rates. And I said, yeah, but I'm going to maybe lose some clients, or maybe some clients won't hire me. And he taught me kind of what you just said. He said, you don't want all the clients. He said, you are a boutique personal trainer. You just want a select few. You want your niche. I think that's the word he used. And now I got it when after your presentation, that really hit me hard. I was like, oh my God, this is my dad speaking to me again. And so again, it was very profound. And so when you talk about niching, Angela, there's kind of three concepts that you break it down into. That's kind of like what you call perfect niching. And the three are leading by example, igniting the senses, and conveying value and solutions. That's fully loaded. Can you talk about that, please?
Absolutely. When you know that you've nailed your niche, and sometimes it takes some time and some testing and things like that. But one of the things when you know what lane you should be in, you are living that thing. The greatest movements in the world happen from people who have lived the experience, not people who jump into the lane and say, well, I heard it's a lucrative place to be, so I'm going to start doing that too, right? For instance, you have a lot of beautiful people that are like, well, I heard modeling was lucrative, so let me jump into that lane, when really they don't move, eat, act, think, or live the way a successful model would. So leading by example means you're eating, sleeping, and breathing that thing already. So it's easy for you to be in that lane. And then with anything that we do, we have to ignite people's senses. Like, with all the different things that come at us on a regular basis, no longer is it okay to just say, hey, can you try my product? That's just not enough anymore. People want an experience. People want something they can remember. And whatever you offer ignites those senses, then a person is like, okay, I've had an experience with you. I've shared something with you that's now in my subconscious space, and I can remember it. And then we always have to give massive value in everything. The more people we have in entrepreneurship, we more and more people are looking to get massive, amazing value for their time. If they stopped and they paid attention to you, they want massive value and a solution before they walk away in return.
Yeah, you're right, Angela. It's kind of like one of podcasters I listened to, Mr. Seth Godin, kind of said similarly to what you just said, that one of the podcasts I listened to, he was defining the difference between what is an entrepreneur versus what is a freelancer, and he said if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you need to charge what you're really worth, and set yourself at top dollar, and you can tell your clients, hey, I know I'm one of the most expensive, but you're going to get more than what you're paying for me out of. And in other words, delivering what they're paying for, but then some, like give them more than what they're paying for. And I think that's important. And it's really funny because you put up some really wonderful, for the folks who weren't there at class, saw the signs and billboards from some of these signs where you had gone through and asked the students, did they nail it or fail it? And you gave some illustrations of some billboards that I thought just some of them were just hysterical, like the one with the Fit for Life, I think it was, where they,
right.
Oh my God, the hideous monster and the alien, and those are cute. But one of the things they put in there that I thought, aside from the kind of negative connotations, and like you said, they're not solving problems, but they put the word affordable in there. They said, yeah, affordable gym. Well, to me, that's a turnoff. Like, Mike, again, using me as an example for a second, as a personal trainer, when I have a client, or prospect, I should say, and they call me and their first question is, how much do you charge? That's usually a big turnoff to me. And in my head, I'm shaking my head saying, this is not going to be my next client. And so, because they don't understand value, if the price is the only priority, or the sole, I should say, number one question that's in their mind, then I usually just tell them, hey, let me save both of us a lot of time. LA Fitness has some great prices. They only charge, I don't know what it is, they even charge this like $40 or $50. And I'm like, if your price is your number one priority, I'd go with someone like them. If but that goes back to, I guess, you get what you pay for. And then you had, on the flip side, put some billboards up. One was Brittany Bay. For the folks who don't know who that was, she nailed it. She was one of them that nailed it. And what was it about people like Brittany Bay or Jillian Michaels or even Heineken? What was it that stands out of why they nailed it?
Yeah, one of the things I love that they did was the billboards and the colors they used and the imaging that they used spoke to the senses.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, the billboard with Brittany Babe is her kind of in a running stance, and it's like, we're going to keep fitness simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then across the top of it, it has the solutions listed. So you can tell she's igniting the senses. She makes you want to go for a run or think about when your next workout is, and she's immediately highlighting the solutions that you're supposed to do. And then obviously she looks like she's leading by example, like she eats, sleep, and breathes being fit and taking care of the physical body. Right. And the same thing with Jillian Michaels. So many options for you to choose from, but it also lets the person know, here is the price. And basically, if this isn't in your budget, then this is not for you. Mm-hmm. So it really helps, just like you do. And I love that you do that by saying, hey, I know a bunch of different places, LA Fitness being one, and take your dollars.
Yeah.
But if you're coming here, I'm going to give you massive value in exchange for what you choose to spend with us. And so I think that's amazing that you do that, because you really do want to sort people quickly, because all of your energy needs to be spent on giving massive value to the people who believe in what you're giving out.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what these billboards convey.
Yeah, very good point, Angela. I like that. And, I guess we don't want to go with the billboard like PETA put out with saving the whales then.
PETA.
Again, I got to admit, I was laughing on a few of them, and I thought they were just hysterical. That's good. And then, okay, so we have a quote from Maya Angelou, and I'll read it verbatim. Quote, when people show you who they are, believe them. What is it trying to convey there, Angela, in that quote?
Yeah, that when we pick a niche, when we choose what it is we're wanting to do, the best thing we can do is look at what people show us. And so, like, if there is an influx of an issue, like with stay-at-home moms or any niche or any lane that you pick to be in, like helping stay-at-home moms get fit, or helping people who are baby boomers who are also cancer survivors, which is highly niched work. And so when we're picking that lane, those survivors, those stay-at-home moms, we don't have to think about what we're going to offer them. They show us what their need is. People will never tell you everything about them, but the way that they look, the way that they act, and the things that they do show us who they are and what their needs are. But it's up to the person who's properly niched things to say, I see this need and I know how I can serve them since I've lived this life. And so that it just makes it so easy to pick your niche at that point.
Good. I like it, Angela. And then from there, we transition into the question, how do I choose? And there are 3 rules that you have. And I guess if you can please go into these, Angela. Number 1, know your likes. Rule number 2, know the trend. And rule number 3, adjust the view. What is it saying to us here, Angela?
Definitely. Don't ever do something you don't want to do. Like that's that is definitely a rule that is across not just entrepreneurship, but life. So I think very little time in life should be spent on things that do not make you happy. And so starting with something that you like is the first rule of niching. And the proof that you like it shows you have the evidence in your everyday life. It's something you do already on a regular basis. And then the trend is always your friend. And this is across markets as well. Never try to go against the trend and try to be too unique where no one wants what you're offering, but know what the trend is. That's a clear indication of what people are showing us what they need. So know the trends and then adjust your view. Just because everyone else came out with a leggings line because they see that it fits well, just because other people did that, how can you even get ahead of them? How can you even pick a niche of something those people are having issues with, and then adjust your view and make your view a little bit bigger? So even when you niche it down, for us, for instance, within a 20-mile radius of my home, there were 70 offices looking for a certified health coach. And even though I'm a coach, I knew that I could go and apply and be a coach for them. I could go and make great revenue from that. But I adjusted my view and said, okay, they're showing me what their need is every day on these job boards. How can I adjust my view to make sure that I give more and be a part of a smaller niche? And so that's how I created my school. It's like, well, maybe I can create health coaches to fix this issue instead of trying to be the one to just solve that one problem.
Very impressive, Angela. I like that. And, finally, here's where it comes down to. This is the meat and potatoes, so to speak, the heart and soul of the strategy to nailing it. There's a 4-part strategy. And I guess if you could please go into this, Angela, and talk about, what does it mean to identify and create and decide and test as far as, nailing it in this strategy.
Definitely. And for anyone who's listening, I know that at some point you're trying to identify what it is you want to do, who it is you want to be around when you do it, and how you can navigate that thing once you've decided. And so understanding who your ideal person is, ask yourself the questions that are like, who do I want to work with? Who do I want to be around on a regular basis? A lot of people, unfortunately, Taryn, they just take jobs. I know I did.
Me too. Oh, me too. Believe me. Yeah, I'm guilty of it. Absolutely.
We just take jobs because maybe it's out of fear, or maybe it's because our parents told us to, or it's what the women or the men in our family always do, right?
Absolutely.
We pick our education, we pick our friends, we pick a lot of things that way. But when it comes down to really getting to the heart and soul of niching, it's about identifying what we want, what we like, and who's ideal for us. And then to sort all the things away that just don't work for us. And that's what identification is all about. Yeah. And then when it comes to creating it, that's simple. It's just about, how do you make the solution, basically? How do you turn that solution itself into some kind of journey for you? Meaning, okay, so I see there's a need in the fitness industry for more trainers. So everyone's going to a trainer around the holidays and in the new year. One of the things that could happen is bundling other things that you're great at and then turning that into a 6 or 12 month journey for people, giving them a retreat halfway through that, like really designing it so that when people sign up, they know that they're with you for a long time and they know that they're ready to take this walk with you and that you're holding them accountable. That's how we create real solutions. That's how we create community, and that's how we go viral. Like that's how those things happen. And that's how we create movements that happen everywhere, right? Because then people start grabbing their friends and their friends start grabbing their friends and say, listen, I'm going on this journey with Taryn for the next 8 months and we're going to do a retreat at the end of it. Would you go with me? And that's how you create these movements that we see people doing all the time. They've decided that they want to work with certain people and they've created a journey for those people to go on. So that's what creation is all about. And then we go into exploring it. Who's already doing this? It sounds amazing, but has someone been successful at it already? And then you get kind of all up in their mix and you do your investigating. For me, it was looking at other schools, other health coaching schools, and there aren't many, especially stateside in the U.S. So I had to really look and say, okay, what's the difference between the schools overseas and the school that's here? And kind of look at, how do I formulate my own process then? How do I do my own thing for my students? And then deciding, right? Determining if this is even going to be profitable. If the people that decide to take this journey with you, are you going to end up with yourself in such a state that you're paying them to be there versus the opposite, right? Because when I first started out, there were a lot of products that I did that were just grossly underpriced, right? And a lot of people do it because we want to really serve people. And the reality of it is, if we're giving massive value, then we shouldn't be afraid to charge for that value. And people look at things and they feel like it's too cheap, so I'm not going to buy it. Sometimes our price is too high, but in reality, people will spend for massive value. I've learned that now. And so we find that we have less work to do when we provide massive value and we price things appropriately. And then once you decide, you put it to the test. We're always students here. Everything about life and everything we learn is here to help us learn how to win. From the time we learn to crawl, from how we learn to eat, to the friends that we choose and the education that we pursue. Everything is teaching us how to win here. And this is no different. When you choose your niche, it's not going to be perfect. You still have to put everything to the test. Who's actually responding to it? Did it sell out too easily? Is your calendar overrun with people because your rate is too cheap? What is it that needs to happen so that you can make sure that after this test, you up the ante and bring in the right kind of people into your movement? So that's what this 4-step process is about.
That's amazing. That's excellent, Angela. And again, that puts it all together, to summarize kind of what you said. There was a sheet that you gave out that I kind of went over the questions for folks to write down. It was a 4-part question that were very powerful. Who do I work with? Who I don't want to work with? What problem can I solve? Where can I find them? I think that's a great way to start out and, just right into that 4-part strategy you were just saying, because that kind of gives them a good foundation, don't you think? Kind of just assessing, kind of a reassessment and a self-assessment in some ways.
Definitely. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Tremendous, Angela. Well, this is great. Again, I got to say this was very impressive to be able to kind of hit this home and be able to share this now with the podcast listeners out there too, so they can kind of get this information. And I think this is, again, very, very valuable information that you provide. And that I can see why they call you the Queen of Wellness, Angela. You truly are. And so I want to thank you again for being on here. And if people want more information from you, what is the best ways for them to find you and to contact you, Angela?
Yeah, definitely. They can contact me via email at hello@angelacudger.com, or they can contact me through the website angelacudger.com. Now, if they're interested in becoming a health coach or looking into continuing their education that way, they can check out our school at legacyhealthcoach.com.
Wonderful. Good. And we'll have those websites up on the screen here as we fade to black. And, oh, Angela, I think it'd be tremendous if maybe we can end up with a couple of the GSU students signing up as health coaches with you. I mean, if I was in their shoes, gosh, like what an opportunity. I mean, you're giving such a great, wonderful opportunity to them. So thank you for doing that. And, again, I'm very impressed with everything you're doing.
Definitely. It's such a blessing to be able to get this out to people. So thank you so much for creating such an awesome platform to let us do that.
My pleasure, Angela. We're the lucky ones. So again, keep up the great work you're doing. And again, we appreciate you being on here. We'll look forward to having you on here next time. And in the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and enjoy the rest of your week, Angela.
You too. Thanks.
Thank you.